And what a lad I have for you today. Now, everyone I've spoken to about this man has said he is the best lad that you'll ever meet. He's someone who's had a very different pathway to the top than most. He was working in the Navy as his main job until he was picked up from the Cornish Pirates and given an opportunity, firstly with Toulouse, where he won the top 14, and since Northampton, where he's gone on to be one of the stars of the premiership. Right now, of course, he's currently playing for a team that everyone's fallen in love with at the Rugby World Cup in Fiji, and I, like everyone, am very excited to see where these guys end up. So I'm super pumped and grateful for this episode. It is, of course, the great man himself, Sam Matavesi. Welcome, mate.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the intro. I don't know how true. I don't know who you've been speaking to, but people are lying to you.
Mate, I'm doing my own research here, and you're one of the absolute greats.
I don't know about that.
Mate, but do appreciate you coming on. Like, I know you're in the middle of a Rugby World Cup, and you're obviously coming off the back of a win, first time against Australia in about 100 years. Mate, what was that like in the weekend?
Yeah, it's an unbelievable feeling. I think it's because, like every team getting into a World Cup in the build-up, like we've worked hard. I think we've it's the hardest I've ever worked with Fiji in a Fiji camp.
True.
You know, that I think that's due to the coaching, the management, the planning. But it's been awesome. Now I don't want to, I think it's a shock. People call it a shock because we haven't beat them for 69 years or something like that.
Yeah.
Which it's a long time. But I think if you're actually in the group, it probably doesn't come as much of a shock, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think the boys are quietly confident, obviously very humble, but we're not. I think our biggest thing is how do we keep it up. I think it's obviously very easy to get up for Wales and Australia, the first two games of the World Cup for us. But the biggest thing now is how can we keep that going for the next two games? So obviously, the last World Cup we lost to Uruguay. There's no disrespect to Uruguay, but we pushed Australia and Wales again pretty close.
Yeah, it's interesting you mention the shock because you guys are now the number one ranked side in your pool. Probably the first time ever going into a Rugby World Cup being the number one ranked side in your pool. So how does that feel? Like, what difference does that make?
If I'm totally honest, I'd probably say it doesn't make a difference at all.
Yeah.
I think for us, it's just, and it's going to sound very cliche. You'll know it more than anyone. It is each game. Like I think we built up Wales a lot. I think we put a lot of energy into that, and rightly so. I think we should have got more from the game. Personally, I think we played better against Wales than we did Australia. But it wasn't to be. But I think the week after everyone backed it up and we beat Australia.
How hard was that to get over that Wales loss? Like, you could see the amount of effort and the energy that went into it. You could see the heartbreak when you didn't get across the line to finish. Was it hard to bounce back from that?
Yeah, it was. I think the best thing is it was the first game, and you've got three other opportunities to win. But I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty pissed off after, just frustrated. I think is the biggest thing. Gutted, frustrated. I think when you play teams at this level, and it hasn't happened in a long time. If you get beat by a good team, you can take getting beat by a good team. But I think when the margins are smaller and then some decisions don't really go your way, that's when it's tough.
Yeah, mate, 100%. And the whole world's sort of fallen in love with the Fijian side. Like, how's it in there? Like, what's it feel like being involved with that?
Yeah, I think it's amazing, but it's pretty normal. The guys are, I think there's some stars in the team, but they're very humble people. There's not much. I think if you got some food, some kava, and a guitar and some music, everyone's pretty happy. Yeah, and that's pretty much as far as it goes. Like I remember we beat England, and I was born in England, and very much English / Cornish as well as Fijian. But I was watching. We were sitting in the back of the bus, and we've beat England, and we're stuck in traffic getting back to the hotel. And boys are playing the game Killer on the bus, like most, and they're just laughing. And yeah, I think it just it's crazy, because we had a week off after the England game, and everyone I was like, you must have been on the piss for 3-4 days. When did you stop? And usually I would be, but I was like, no, it wasn't. It wasn't like that. We had a few beers in the evening, and. It was lucky enough that some of the boys had the families in the hotel, because I don't know if you've been to the hotel after a Fiji game, but there's Fijians everywhere. They're everywhere in the world. The Fijians come support, And so we have a rule. We're allowed an hour. We have to have an hour together as a team. So in the team room, we have an hour, just players and coaches. And then once we have some grog, have an hour, have a bit of a laugh, then you can invite, people can come in as well.
And thousands come in.
And honestly, like, listen, we was in Saint Etienne last week, and yeah, it was incredible. It's just people, and I think the great thing is, you see old players, past players that come in, and you're
Yeah.
just like, wow, I watched you or I've played with you, and then the Fijians and the Australian team all came for some cover, and it's great to see them. I play a fantasy league with the boys at Saints, at
Oh yeah,
NRL
yeah,
Fantasy,
yeah.
and and I was like, I got a selfie with Bruno Valor and put it in the group and things like that. Like, yeah, unreal.
Oh, how good is that? And are you feeling the support from other nations, not just Fijians at the moment?
Yeah, I think we're everyone's second team. I think if your home nation isn't playing, everyone seems to support Fiji, and I think I don't know how it's amazing. Everyone's support is greatly appreciated,
Mm.
and I think obviously I was born in Cornwall in England, and they seem to be all Fijian at the minute, all on social media.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool to see. And I did read the other day, like Semia Radradra was saying that you guys are here to win the Rugby World Cup, which I don't know if that's a different mindset to what you've had previously going to World Cup with Fiji, where I felt like maybe being happy to make the quarterfinals or that might have been a goal. But is there a different sort of feel going into this one?
Yeah, yeah, 100%. I think a head coach. I think they could give the coaches a big rap. I'm trying to obviously get the team on the weekend, but they've been unbelievable. I think the head coach Simon, to like the Glenn Jackson, Daryl Gibson, Brad Harris, Graham Dews, and then the S&Cs. Like, personally, I think they've probably made the biggest. They've probably the hardest job and made the biggest change. I said that we've worked the hardest we've ever worked in a Fiji camp, and we had a session in Japan, which was probably the hardest session I've ever done, and that's on a Thursday before a game, and we're putting the graft in, and you can tell, you can see, you know, in the last 20 minutes, even against Wales, just still be fighting at the end, and try and get that last try, etc. We're right on the line now. I think for the coaches to be transparent, to be approachable, good, like good, genuine good people,
Mm.
and to actually help, want to buy into the Fijian culture, and get to know the lads a bit better. I think it's going really well.
That's cool to hear. And have you noticed a difference between from the Fijian players who have had a few years now with the Druid and Super Rugby?
Yeah, it's so much like it's. I think there's more players from the Drua than there is overseas. If you know what I mean.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
18 Drua players, which is it's incredible. And I think
yeah,
you get messages like, "Who's that guy? Who's that? Who's that?" 'Cause obviously Super Rugby's on different times in the morning to the UK, and there's just I don't want to call them freaks, but there's just so many good players.
yeah.
And I think that the Drua having like an awesome like a facility in Fiji, a training facility. I think they're working on a training pitch at the minute, but there's just so much talent, as you know, and I think there's actually a pathway now of let's play for the Druin instead of going overseas early and leaving the families and
Mm.
stuff. I think that probably 12 years, next three World Cups, you might get every player, from the Drua, which would be unbelievable.
Yeah, mate, imagine that. That'd be a Super Rugby winning side, unfortunately for me at the Crusaders. But would you ever look to get to the Drua?
I would love to, but I'm just a bit
Yeah.
old now. I think I'm like I don't know if like, I would for myself, my family, and the kids, then to actually live in Fiji would be one of the biggest like attractions.
Yeah,
Just to say you've done it. Now
yeah.
we went to the village, um, in our when we first met as a team, 13, 14 weeks ago now, and I was like, wow, like this is it's different,
Yeah.
to my upbringing in Cornwall to the village in Tavuni is different, and yeah, it was an amazing experience. I called my wife. We had to walk about, walk down a hill, up onto the bit to get some signal to call my wife, and I was like, yeah, it's different. I don't know if I could do this for the week. Just being an idiot, but it's just, yeah, it just takes you back to what my old man did, what his grandfather did back in the village, and how they grew up, and seeing it. We were 45 players and staff were in like the village hall, all on like mats on the floor.
Mm.
We'd eat downstairs, we shower outside or in the waterfall, toilet outside, brush your teeth
Yeah.
outside, everything. And then there's a gym there, the pitch was there, and we train, and all the people from the village would come. They, toot their horns, come up in cars. It was awesome.
Mate,
It was awesome.
that is cool. And did you mentioned your dad there? So your dad is fully Fijian. He grew up in Fiji. How did he end up in England?
So he was playing for like the Fijian Barbarians, the Fijian Warriors at the time. This is like 80s,
Oh yeah.
and he did like a world tour, late 80s, and they played like Bath, Bristol, Quins back in the day, and they went to Cornwall to play Penzance, obviously the Pirates,
Yeah.
Penzance and Newlyn. It was back then, and they were so the team that we ended up all representing, and that's where Josh is playing now. Our team Camborne RFC, a local club in Cornwall, were they were a good team at the time. They're a good team now, but they were like, oh, do you fancy coming and playing a game on a Wednesday night? And they were like, why not? For free beer,
Yeah.
a few more pasties, we'll try it. So they played a game on the Wednesday. He's gone back to Fiji, and he got invited to tour South Africa with the same Fijian Barbarians, but he had a plane ticket come from Camborne, and he was fireman at the time. I think he was a bit of a shitbag back in the day in Fiji. So he was fireman back in the day, and then he got a flight over in the late 80s. So he went from the farm to the tin mine, like South Crofty mine,
Oh,
and
true.
he was underground. We spoke to and he was like, I think when he first went down, he was scared because obviously they were using like explosive to blow it up to try and get the tin mine, and he was playing rugby,
Yeah.
and yeah, he obviously met my mum, fell in love, had three sons, and he's never been back to Fiji.
Oh wow, that's so good. So then you grew up in Cornwall,
Yeah,
and what were you like as a little fella?
shitbag, absolute shitbag. No, yeah, we had I say great upbringing. We played all sports, rugby very early, cricket, football, and then lucky enough for us, all my mum's side of the family were very sporty, and everyone played for our local club, Camborne. So we all went to play for them. Um, and my old man coached me and my older brother, and then my older brother's team like that they dropped out. They didn't have enough numbers, so he moved to the local rivals team, which is Red
Oh,
Roof.
true.
So there's a big like rivalry, Camborne Red Roof, yeah. And so when my old man was like, "I'm not going in Red Roof with you, so I'll go and coach Sam's age because obviously he's just a year above Josh." Yeah, so it was good. It was a real good upbringing.
I could imagine you three brothers in the backyard would have had a fair few battles going on. What was that like?
Yeah. Oh, we used to fight like cat and dog, me and Josh, cat and dog.
What's the age difference between you two?
It's just I think it's is it 13 months, 14
Oh,
months?
true. Bang bang. Yeah.
Yeah, it's close, close. Yeah, I remember we're growing up. We'd fight that much. We'd have like okay, on a Monday he'd have the remote. On a Tuesday I'd have the remote. On a Wednesday it was Joel, and then we would just like flip because we'd fight over the obviously like the small like clothes and hiding each other's clothes because obviously we're quite close in age. We sometimes have like the same friend groups.
Yeah.
And then I remember one time, like we were getting a lift of cricket, and like one of our friends would come and pick us up. It's called Paul Menke, a great man. He'd go, "Oh, where's Sam?" And Josh would be like, "No, he's not coming." And I'd be in like waiting for the same lift, and then he just get in and go. Just things like that. Yeah, like just I think until we got to college, where because we went to the same college, and he's a year above. It's probably around college time, so what was it 15, 16 that he like moved out and like that probably stopped. But before that, it was every day, pretty much
True.
every day.
And it didn't stop till 15, 16. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
like
that's no good for me with my boys.
and we were vicious as well, like vicious.
What was the worst buffo?
I think we got to the stage where uh we were at a local club just practicing with the old man Joel, and we'd fight that much. Like usually with the old man, he'd say he'd have to say a few words and we stopped because we were shit scared of him. But this one time he goes, just fight then. You've been fighting that much. I've had enough. Go on then, fight.
Yeah.
And we both looked at each other like, oh crap. So well, here we go. Here we go.
Who won?
Oh, always me. Always me.
Oh, that's crack up. But I do know, like, I have heard you speak about the passing of your mum. I think you're 13 at the time, so
Yeah.
like for you that must have been incredibly tough for you to go through at that age. Like you hear people going through like the loss of parents or siblings or something, but when you're actually in it, I can only imagine sort of what that's like. So how was that for you, and how hard was that for you to deal with?
It was tough. It was so tough. I'd go as far as say I probably didn't deal with it until like we were in COVID,
Oh wow, okay,
like
yeah,
that
true,
long. So yeah, I think this is nothing against my dad and our upbringing or anything like that. I think at 13 when it happens, I think for me, you hide your emotions and you get on with things.
yeah,
And my dad was very much of the he was like, I want us to get back on track. I think you should get back to school quite early, and I think let's just try and get, not get on with it or move on, but let's try and let's try and best we
yeah,
can to
yeah,
push through. And I think when you're 13, you've got so many emotions and stuff like that. I just remember never really dealing with it,
mm,
um, or talking to anyone. I think the school were very good. They had someone that we could talk to, but there's no respect to him. He wasn't, say, as qualified as he should be. And I think probably go as far as say it probably hindered me because I just not 13, but coming to like 16, well 17, 18 when I'd get on the piss and just want to fight everyone, and all my anger and emotions would only come out then, if that makes sense.
yeah,
And for a lot of bad reasons. Now, during COVID, it got to this point where you were at home all the time playing was it like quizzes and drinking, and I was just like shit. I need to speak to someone, and I was how long was that? So 20, 15 years probably something like that. It was
yeah,
16 years. Since it happened that I actually sought help. I didn't want to. I wanted to speak to someone in Northampton who didn't know us in Cornwall, didn't know our story, and just be as open and honest as possible.
mm,
But just on the point, I would, yeah. I think that, but yeah, I think because I couldn't quite grasp at the time that with our mum, she committed suicide, for a lot of different reasons, and I think that's the hardest thing to take when you're, it's not at any age, but let alone 13, when all you want is a mum and dad, if that makes sense.
yeah,
Yeah, I think you just want quite answers, and you just want you want your mum really, and I think this is going to sound terrible, but I think if she died like naturally, or I'm not going to say in a car, if she died like where she didn't want to go, if that makes sense, I
yeah,
think you couldn't move past it better, but I think you could probably grasp it in your head a bit more,
yeah.
if that makes sense.
Mate, makes total sense.
Yeah, so I just want to take the opportunity now to. I think if you can talk to someone, if you're in any state of talk to someone, there's loads of people out there that will help. I think friends, family, but people online.
What was that process like for you once you were speaking to the person in Northampton? Like, what did you go through once you made that decision to try and release it?
My wife was outstanding. So obviously, I've been with her since we were like 18. So like she's been through like the ups, the downs, the ins and outs, the
Yeah,
emotions, the things like that. And I think it was just time. We like looked at a few people and picked one, and we were just like, yeah, let's go for it. And I think the biggest thing was just is be as open. You have to be honest. You have
mm,
to be as honest as you can. And it's not nice. It's not nice being honest and going through things and about yourself, upbringing and everything. And but yeah, it just helped me. And he was unreal. He just talk and it would flow, and it would I just come out feeling so much less stressed and pressured, and I felt a lot more like relaxed. And I think when I get as frustrated or amped up, and I think it just helped.
yeah. And if you were in that position again, like, what would you have done differently if you could have gone back?
Oh, I would have. I think I would have said to my dad. I think I would have, said I need to speak to someone, and I probably, back then, not someone from the school. I think someone just to totally away from the school and the situation, and just talk. I think it would have been a massive help.
Mate, that's so cool to hear because I'm sure there's a lot of people out there going through something similar or a hard time. So it's powerful to hear
Yeah.
that coming from you and how you would have dealt with that or how you did deal with it.
It's really tough. I don't want to say it's anything like my dad. I think in perspective, he was over here with three young kids, and none of he had my mum's family, but he didn't have his own family that to like fall back on. And I think we'll probably we'll push forward in this chat and talk through what he's gone through since then, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I think if he had his time again, he would have dealt with it differently. But I just think people didn't really know back then, Um, yeah. So, but I think his way of life and how he was brought up was let's get on with it, and we'll get through it.
Yeah. Oh, I was only looking at it the other day when I was looking at like my life insurance and just imagining like how hard it would be for our kids if either myself or my wife died, and it's a hard conversation to even talk about with my wife. She gets all emotional just thinking about me dying. So
Yeah.
it is a tough one to plan and a tough one to. Oh, I can only imagine what it's like to go through. So I appreciate you sharing that. And then, what was your like pathway out of school like?
I had my headset of being an like electrician. I wanted to be a sparky. So the summer I left school, I
Oh,
had
did you?
yeah, I had pretty average grades. I was always one of them that he could do it if he put his mind to it, but he was a bit too cheeky and loud sometimes. And um, so I left school that summer. I wanted to be a sparky, and the biggest thing in Cornwall at the time was Truro College. But Truro College is obviously they've had some top players go through, like Jack Noel, Calvin Dickies, people like that, and that was like sort of the Exeter Chiefs and the Truro College was coming into play, and I got asked to go. I was like, nah, I don't really want to do that. Went on again, so I did the whole summer working as an electrician, and then right at the end, before I was going to actually go to college and do 1 day a week as a sparky and then 4 days on site, I was like, nah, I think I'm going to go to college. So I ended up going to Truro College. Went to Truro College for 2 years, and it was it's crazy, crazy. We had a good team. We played every Wednesday up and down the country, and we were having a few beers at our local most Wednesday nights. So Thursday night zone, it was a pound a drink.
Oh,
Incredible.
wow,
Um,
that is dangerous.
yeah, it's shut now, unfortunately. Um, and then I asked to go to Exeter quite a bit, week on, week off, and it was all looking pretty good. And then I just got on the piss too much, and they were like, "Nah, we don't want you." And I was
Oh,
like,
that's right.
"Whoa, shit. I'm in a bit of trouble there." And then it was sort of gone full circle. So I don't know if would you have heard of Graham Dorr, English hooker, a bit of a legend in the champ.
Oh no, not doesn't spring to mind, but
Nah. Oh, if you want to get someone on the podcast, he'd be unbelievable. That's a different time. So, um, I got recommended by someone in Cornwall to go and play for Plymouth Albion, because they were in the Championship at the time, um, against the Navy, and I was like, yeah, I've got nothing to lose. I was working in a local bar in Camborne. I was like, yeah, I've got to go and play. Um, Went and played, and he goes to me, "Well, what are your plans tomorrow?" I said, "Well, I'm probably going back to work in the bar." He said, "Nah, yeah, I'll sign you." So I ended up, yeah, I ended up going to Plymouth Albion. I think at one stage I was the youngest player to play in the Championship. I think I was like 17
oh,
in the
far
back
out.
row.
Shit.
Yeah, and then I just sort of like went up and down from Championship, National One, National Two. I couldn't really get a break. I wasn't really working hard enough, and I was like, in and out of jobs and stuff. And then my wife fell pregnant, and I was like, shit, I need something else, because rugby's not really going well. I need a career. And in the meantime, I'd been helped out by all the clubs in Cornwall, like Campbell Medroof. They were really good to me, like helping me jobs, rugby, and things like that. So then I was like, okay, I'm going to join the Navy. So I did that. I think I waited like 6 months to join, like something like that, from when I first signed up to get all the medical checks done to then join. Rugby was literally in the back of my mind. Like,
Mm.
I genuinely didn't think I'd play professionally again. I didn't think I'd ever play for Fiji again. I wasn't really that bothered, if I'm honest. I just wanted to get in the Navy, try and work hard and do well, and have a career. So I did my 10 weeks basic training in the Navy, my 12 weeks phase two training. Then I got my first post, my first draft down at RNAS Culdrose, which is it's an air station in Cornwall. Um,
Yeah.
you're quite lucky because not many people want to move down to Houston in Cornwall if they're not from there or if they're a bit older, really. So I got the I got the job done there. Was working pretty normal, like 8 till 4, Fridays off. Football at lunch, things like
Yeah.
that. I had to do had to do like a few shifts, a few shifts here and there. And I get a call one afternoon, and it's Alan Paver from the Pirates. And I was
Yeah.
like, I'm surprised I got his number, but why is he calling me? And he was like, I'm not going to put his accent on, but he pretty much was like, look, we're desperate for a hooker. Our three hookers are injured. And I was like, Paves, I've got two problems. I said, firstly, I'm not a hooker. And secondly, I've just joined the Navy. I can't just I can't just come and play. Um,
So you'd never played hooker at this point?
so I tried it for Plymouth when they got relegated from the champ to National One. And I tried it for like 2 weeks. I think, but no,
Yeah.
but maybe a bit more, maybe a month. And obviously, if you get relegated in a team and you just move positions and you're not really playing, it's not that good a
Yeah.
recipe if that makes sense for
Yeah.
success. So I was just like, uh, okay. So he was like, look, we'll help you. We need you. Like, please come. So I went and spoke to my bosses in the Navy of where I worked, and Dean Jones and Adam Galatly and a few other people at Coldrose, and they were like, look, we'll keep it quiet. You can go for 2 days a week, go and train Tuesday, Thursday, but you've got to be at work 3 days. He said, this
Mm.
is off the books, we can manage this. So I was like, okay. And there was literally no one else. So I remember I came off the bench at half time against Jersey at home. My first game for the Pirates, and it was like quite an even contest. Like Jersey, a good team, and I think I threw like six lineouts that we didn't win. Like three were like to the left, three overthrow, and I go as far as say is it probably cost us the game, and I was just like, so I go back in Monday to the review, and I was strongly like I was ready to be like, look, thanks Sam, but no thanks, like that, and
Yeah.
no, it's the complete opposite. Like Alan Paver and Gavin Cattle were absolutely incredible. I think at the time with Paves, he goes to the forwards. We need to work hard, and I don't know. You obviously you played at the Pirates, haven't you? Down at Mene.
Yeah. Tough place to play.
Yeah, yeah. So you think that the main pitch is obviously is kept quite nice, but the back pitch where we train, um, it obviously, especially in December, January, February, it's great. It's a pigsty down there,
Mm.
and he said to the forwards, "We're going to work hard. We're going to do some extra scrummaging, extra mauling." And I think the boys were like, "Stan, you prick! Why have you come? Why are we doing this?" And yeah, so that for the half a year that I then played, he fully backed me. I played most games, and I think to move to the front row, to learn to throw, and to actually do it, the best thing is just being
Mm.
in it to learn, and you probably learn more when things aren't going as well. So that was the 17-18 year. Yeah, now the 17-18. Now the 18-19. I'm back in work, and they're like, okay, you can have a bit more time. I've got like 3 or 4 days now. I'm pretty much full time at the Pirates because in the
Oh,
Navy you
true.
don't work on a Friday.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So and I had a full pre-season. Things were going well, and I got picked for Fiji for the first time in 5 years. I got picked again in 2018, and we lost to Scotland, beat Uruguay, and beat France at the Stade de France.
Oh, how good.
Literally, and then obviously I had a few beers that night. And I've the next day, Sunday, I got on an aeroplane back to Cornwall, in with the Pirates. And at this stage, I'm sort of playing 3 quarters of the year for the Pirates and the last quarter for the Navy, because obviously that's when the Navy fixtures come
Mm.
about, and that they were like, you have to play for the Navy, which is perfect. Um, so we've cut a long story. We've played the RAF at Harlequins on Friday night, and I, I get a call. You're off to Toulouse tomorrow. Toulouse want to sign you as a medical joker. They've seen your game against
Oh,
France.
true.
And I was like, shut
Who's
up.
who's that? Who's called you?
my agent, I
Oh,
was like,
true.
you been drinking? You been drinking, Stu, or what? What's going on?" And no, seriously. And the Navy the Navy are incredible. The people in charge of the Navy were like, "Look, we can't really do this because you're not insured, you're not covered. You can't just go to France and play, but we'll let you. But you're on your own, if that makes sense."
Yeah.
So it's no disrespect to the Pirates, but I've gone from having to buy my after-match shirt at the Pirates to then being like, I'm getting socks and pants from Eden Park at Toulouse. what, what's going on?
Yeah.
Um, and I've walked in the change room. They've got Dupont, Antamac, Jerome Kino,
Far out.
Cheslin Colby,
Yeah.
and it literally was and they were incredible. And it was tough because I'd be on the bench, come on, do okay, come off the bench to come on, do okay. Then I'd have to go back and play for the Navy.
Oh, yeah.
So it sort of like interrupted it, and yeah, and but it was the experience was absolutely unbelievable. Something I'll have with forever. So after that, the Toulouse, we have a very good night out, a very good couple of nights out in Paris,
Yeah.
like unbelievable.
Was it?
Oh, like I think we had like a our own like private plane up to Paris. The place we stayed before is incredible. We had a few beers before
True.
because we weren't playing, so like the coaches and the players that weren't playing went out for a few beers. And then obviously we had to warm up, the next day, but everyone was fine. I'm in the Stade of France warming up, about to watch Toulouse Clermont, and we there's a massive do in the middle of Paris after, like unbelievable. And we're going, we're me, Richie Arnold, Joe Tokori, Carl Axtons. We're following William Servat around France, and obviously everyone knows him.
Yeah.
And we're going to these random bars, just like, oh, it's just incredible. And then wake up the next day, we get a private, or we're on the plane back to Toulouse. Like, people are doing like the skydives, the tray that's been usually pushed around, which is free for all. Just
Oh,
like, help yourself.
yeah.
Getting to like, and yeah, like I've gone from playing for the Pirates to playing for the Navy to then doing an open top bus, in front of thousands and thousands of people in Toulouse.
Man, what a story. It's crazy, eh?
Yeah, like, so that like, I've like, oh, shit, I've still got a wife and kids. I need to get home. So I go home so Saturday, Sunday. I go home on the Monday, and I'm home for a week, and then I fly to Fiji for the World Cup prep. So another 4 months away.
Oh,
So
true.
yeah, and last World Cup in Japan, incredible. I got to do it with my older brother, and then when I come back, I want to come back to the Pirates. I can't get in the hooker position because I'm playing back row for the Pirates, and and then I ended up signing for Northampton.
Far out. That is so crazy. Was it
Yeah,
hard to learn the hooker craft? Because obviously, you don't often see Lucy's go to hooker and that sort of transition to how work that quickly.
yeah, it was. I'll be honest. I prefer the scrummaging. I love it.
Yeah.
People here are like, what is he on about?
Yeah.
But you don't appreciate how good props and hookers are, obviously, unless you're in there, and you're figuring it out yourself. But
Yeah.
it's an art form. It really is an art form, and
Yeah.
it's incredible. I love watching. Like, I've gone from a bit of jouet to love watching scrums and stuff now. But it's like the throw-in's tough because it's like the scrum as well. But people, if you see a bad throw, you just think it's the hooker. Whereas
Yeah.
obviously there's a massive like amount that goes into a line out, the movement, like so much stuff. But people just think if you ever threw bad throws, oh, you can't throw shit.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's obviously it's such a close skill. Like, I'd rather scrum than throw.
Yeah.
I've got better now. I think Northampton have been unbelievable at helping that along, and trying to get better and things like that. But it's like it's nerve wracking. It's quite nerve wracking.
Yeah. I bet, mate. It looks like it. And is it just reps that get you there? Like, is that the only way you can really train it?
Yeah, I think it's reps, because obviously everyone throws differently, everyone holds the ball differently. but it's reps. It's doing it under pressure against people. I'd say that any young hookers that probably haven't got the tools, it's really tough because people just pick a target and just throw constantly at a target. But you need to factor in things moving. You want to come like targets moving forward, moving back. Like I think loads of different stuff. But yeah, the first throwing's been a hot. I think it's mentally as well than it is actually doing it.
Mate, it's interesting. And when you signed with Northampton, was that the only option, or did you have other options coming at you? Like, why Northampton?
Yeah, I had a few options. I think I spoke to Chris Boyd,
Oh, yeah.
and I liked how he spoke. I like how he was trying to play. But when I signed at Saints, I pretty much knew I was going to be third, fourth choice, if that makes sense, just to get the opportunity to have a crack.
And is that what it played out like?
At the start, yeah, I found obviously when a new player comes in, I got the I think I was on the bench for the first two games, got a start, went really bad, and then like maybe for like another 4 months, and then that was only then it was only due to injuries and other form, I'd say, to get an actual 5, 5, 6 games on the bounce where you can show what you can do.
Yeah, no, 100%. Because it's been such an interesting ride for you. Eh? Obviously, you were talented. You loved the purse, sort of held you back.
Yeah.
And then you get these opportunities slowly, and then you're obviously taking them throughout the
Yeah.
ride, and then all of a sudden you're a pro footy player. Did you ever think you were going to be a pro footy player when you were at the Navy?
Nah, not at all. Even before that, I think I'm not saying I was Richie McCaw, but I had a bit of talent, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. I was a bit talented, but I think it was having kids that was like, okay, like life's changed now. It isn't just you.
Yeah.
You've got to do a bit more, and yeah, it's probably since like 24 onwards. So from 24 to now, I if you were like, did you work hard for the? I could say, look in the mirror and say yes. I've worked hard, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
From 24 now, if I wasn't an idiot, I could have done it at 17, 16, 15. It would have been, who knows what could have happened.
Yeah. Mate, it's crazy. Yeah. And was there any pressure from, obviously, Josh had probably become a pro already by then? Did you ever compare yourself to him?
Yeah, I think it's because we're so close in age and we've grown up playing. I think we sort of flip reverse now because like I was never jealous. I was always proud, but I always wanted to be where he was, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then like on the flip side of that now, I'm FaceTime him every day. How's it going? How's camp? And he's wearing all the Fiji kit I've just given him, so he's proper bought into it. But so in the England game, he brought his wife and his kids up, my nieces, and they sat with my kids at the England game. And I just think to have Josh around, and I think he was proud, if that makes sense. You could see that his how proud he was in the team, in Fiji, and in myself was awesome.
Yeah, that is cool. And you mentioned that you played the last Rugby World Cup with him,
Yeah,
the one in Japan. Like, what was that like?
unreal. Like we got on so well because obviously we've never since we were like say he left it. So he went to college and he like boarded. So like 15, 16, then on to in the next 10 years, we haven't been in the same house under the same roof for more than a
Yeah.
week. So and then we've gone to the World Cup, and then I think after the first bit of training, we've roomed together. So the whole of Japan, I think even before that, we roomed together.
True.
And I said to my missus, I was like,
You're going to be scrapping.
this could go one or two ways. On it, honestly. And we got on. So I think you grow up a little bit, don't you? And yeah, we got we got on really well, really well.
And how did that World Cup compare to where you are now?
I think that World Cup, I think because like it was my first World Cup, I'm still pretty new to the team. I'm not going to say I was just happy to be there. I still wanted to do well, but like for Josh, for instance, he was one of the senior players back then. But then I was the one playing every week, so it was like our room was like quite mixed, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he was incredible. He always pushed it in training, like drove standards. His attitude was good, so it was good to see that part as well.
And what's it like being in that Fijian team? You've spoken about it a little bit already, but being in that side. Like, can you speak Fijian?
Nah,
No. Do the boys mainly speak English, or do they mix it up?
nah, they mix it up. Like I think because I've sort of been around a little bit now, they just sort of accept me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're like, come on, who's this idiot? Who's like, but they're. I think if obviously we're in a hotel in Bordeaux, if you're someone from the street that would walk into the hotel, you'd be treated like everyone else. They're that sort of people.
Yeah.
Um, it's the environment's incredible. It's a happy environment. There's nothing's ever too much problems or nothing's well we need this and that if that makes sense.
Yeah.
We're usually pretty good with what we've got, which is I think is incredible. Yeah, at the minute it's a happy camp. I think a very happy camp.
And the Fijians are always generally pretty religious, and it's part of their sort of week process. Are you religious? Is that all part
Yeah.
of the setup?
Yeah, I grew up, I wouldn't say I'm as religious as some of the players in the
Yeah.
team, quite openly. So we pray every day. We call it Lotu. It's like a church. So we have that every day. In the morning. So we'll have it tomorrow morning, 8:30 in the morning, and that usually goes on for 15 or 20 minutes. But there'll be a hymn in there. There'll be a Bible verse, and then there'll be some collective like praying and stuff. And that isn't just for players. All the staff buy into that. Everyone that's here with the team is in on the Lotu. Yeah.
No, that's cool. It's such a unique environment compared to like other sides around the world.
Yeah, it's incredible. I think that this. I think people are starting to see it online. Because obviously, phones and everyone's got a phone and camera these days. But everyone's like, oh, the Fijians are singing. Yeah, we probably sing about 15 times a day. So that's why we're not too bad.
Can you sing? Because they are good singers naturally.
No, terrible. I'm the one looking at my phone for who's put the lyrics in the group. Who's put the lyrics in the group? No, but it just like I think the other day, Frank Lamani he put a song in the group like the lyrics, and so for the next 2 days on the bus he was like, cut the music, we're going to practice this. And to be fair, it sounds unbelievable.
Yeah, I
Like
bet.
I think but like so for the next 2 days that like there wasn't any music on the bus. Any after training we always sing, we do a hymn. So that was a hymn after, so boys can get used to it.
Yeah,
So things like that.
mate, so cool. And what about the haka,
Finby.
the Fimby? Yeah, how do you go at that, or how hard was that to learn?
No, it
Looks a
was
little bit easier than
yeah,
most.
yeah, it's pretty easy. I think it's like I'll be pretty honest with you now. The national anthem was in English until the last few games in the World Cup, so I've had to quickly look over that
Oh yeah,
and practice. But yeah, the Finbies are I've done it a few times now, so it's not too bad.
no, you'll be right up the front.
Not a chance, not a chance. In the back hiding somewhere.
Oh, it's so cool to hear. And what are your plans going forward for footy? Obviously, you got the Rugby World Cup you're focusing on now, but post that, what does that look like for you?
Yeah, I've signed for Saints. I've got this year and next year.
Oh yeah.
I'm happy at the Saints. Yeah, great club, great people. I think after that, who knows?
Mm.
Family's still young. Maybe to experience a different country or a different culture, if that makes sense. I'm not too sure.
How old are your kids?
7 and 6.
Oh, true. Oh, cool.
Yeah. So, and I'm also in the Navy, so I'm trying to get things all together at that. Trying to work that out,
Yeah.
which is exciting.
And is that something you'd look to do post footy? Is that sort of your plan to get back into the Navy?
Yeah, they've been really, really good. Really good, really helpful, really like pushing and excited for what I've been doing. But I'd love to go back in some capacity and do some recruitment.
Mm.
Be around schools, colleges, and say join the Navy. It's a great opportunity to see the world and play sport. Um,
Yeah.
Hopefully that will come to fruition. Yeah, and then obviously like the Army Navy and the Army the sport in the Navy is massive. Um, so I'd love to be involved in the rugby side of it for a while, see how it
Mm.
goes.
Is that full time gigs for like coaches and stuff for that Navy rugby side?
Yeah, so it's all in the Navy. So everyone like obviously everyone's employed in the Navy, so they're serving in the Navy, and then they'll get
Oh
a
yeah.
few months off a year to be yeah. But the environment's incredible. It's like a full time environment,
Yeah.
in so you're like a rugby player, but you're in the Navy, but yeah, you're doing like a rugby schedule, if that makes sense.
And I am keen to hear a little bit more about this whiskey that I'm seeing all over the show, selling globally.
It's lucky you said that because my wife and because it's myself, my wife, my two brothers, their wives, and a business partner from Northampton. So we've got a spiced rum that's we've bought out very recently, and they were like, "You've got to plug
Yeah.
it. You've got to mention it."
Mate, I saw it. It looks unbelievable.
Yeah. So we wanted to do something as some brothers that are playing rugby and in this environment for a little while, and we talked about doing cloves or this and that, and then someone mentioned gin, and that was like it's sort of been everyone's done it, and then they're like rum. So we're like, okay, and it for 6 months it's sort of just a conversation. And then we talked to
Yeah.
someone who like accelerated it a lot, and now we've just sold out of all our first edition,
Oh,
so
mate,
already sold out. Yeah,
that
which is
is
incredible.
huge.
The support's been amazing. Yeah,
And it's a big process that too. Like obviously looked into making my own beer and my own spirits as well, and there's a
yeah,
lot to it, a lot behind the scenes, and it is a
yeah.
hard market to make a buck.
It's real tough. I think it's just the learning phase of, you need to register a company's house, you need to get the tax stuff, you need to
Yeah.
do like, and you're just like, what. And I'll be pretty honest. The wives have been incredible. That
Yeah.
they've really kicked it on and kick started it. Yeah, so they deserve all the credit for it.
And where do you see it? Where do you see it going? What's the ultimate plan?
But I think the ultimate plan is, we have it in Tesco's and M&S and Asda and shops, and it's there the whole time.
Mm.
I think if it doesn't, it will, we'll say we've had a crack, we've had a bit of a fun adventure. I say fun, it would be a bit of an adventure that is different, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's definitely things that we've learned along the way that we wouldn't do the same next time, etc., etc.
Massively, yeah. I love that mindset because it's so true. Like, yeah, give something a go. If it works, you keep doing it. If it doesn't, you
Yeah,
just park it
100%.
and find something else because what you would have learnt from that experience that you've done setting it up would be you'll learn so much and you'll be able to move that into whatever you do next. But looking at it from a distance, I can't wait for it to hit New Zealand shores. It looks incredible.
No, it's awesome. It's an awesome awesome. I think you should buy one definitely.
Oh, definitely, mate. I'll buy a truckload and start selling it from my garage. Be your main distributor from New Zealand. But do you still get angry when you're on the piss, or is that all settled down now? You're a calm man. You go all zen.
Yeah, obviously, like anything, other things will piss me off, but no, I'm pretty calm. No, I'm pretty calm. Um, yeah, I think as you get older as well, the times of hitting it every weekend and going as hard, it just takes too long to get over it now. So I
Yeah.
think if you beat England or if you beat England or Australia, it's you've earned a beer. So, but other than that, it's pretty much wake up, get in the ice bath, get your recovery done, and get ready for next week.
Yeah, mate, you're right on. But I know there is one thing that does obviously make you mad when you've had a few because I have gone to the Instagram for some questions. Millions came in, and the first one is, what are your thoughts on women using the men's toilet when their line is too long?
That is incredible. That was we was on the piss in the ship in obviously in Wandsworth, and I was like, if I walked into your toilet and took a piss, there would be hell up. I was like, get out of our toilet, and people were just like, well, it's fine. I was like, no, go in your own toilet, cute. Like you shouldn't be in this one. And obviously I had a few, but it really pissed me off at the time.
Oh, that is good stuff. Okay.
Who sent that one in?
That was Richie Ives. He's been on the Matavesi camp for a long, long time.
He's a top man. Him and his wife
Yeah,
are absolute legends. Fair
champion,
play.
eh? Yeah. Okay, next one. Who wins in a one-on-one comp out of you, Josh, and Joel?
Ah, yeah, I'll take that.
You've easily got them. Got them covered.
Yeah, at the minute, I'd probably go me, Joel, and Josh. Josh is retired now. He's in retired mode.
Oh, I like it. Okay, next one. How would you approach tackling Tuasova? That's a tough one.
I'd point and shout, "He's yours! He's yours!"
Mate, you guys have some tough guys to tackle. Who's the
Oh,
hardest? Who would be the hardest guy to tackle on your side?
he'd be close. We at the minute we've obviously we're trading hard, so we've pre-World Cup every Thursday was 4 blocks of 12 minutes full on, and
Mm,
you know, I think the first was it the first game? No, it's not the first game, but the second and third game, Tuisova didn't play. He didn't start,
yeah.
so he was in opposition, and it's like off the back of a line out, and you're like at the tail. Oh, who's coming in the seam? You're like, fuck, you don't want to look up and spot that. And then there's a few. There's obviously Mata to Albert Tuisui, second rows. Then you got Bossy. I can name only 10. I think it's get low, get in front, and hope for the best.
Yeah, it must be fun to play with though. Those guys, following them in
Oh,
support, like offloads or tackle
oh,
breaks coming.
yeah. Like not being funny when you get up from a scrum and then you got someone going under the post. It's quite a nice feeling.
Yeah. Oh, mate, good stuff. Okay, next one. Biggest change that he's seen in the forwards being able to match at set piece time now.
um, yeah, I think it's the staff who do you know an Alan Muir?
I do. He does ring a bell.
Alan
Yeah.
Muir is a Kiwi.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I go to as far I'd say it was him and Campo, uh, Campese Marfu,
Yeah.
Campo, the legend Lucid prop that Fiji have had. I think it was them that started the mold of let's change it, let's change the perception of just being a flair team and not having a set piece. And I go as far as to say it was them that started it, and there's just people that have come in on board and helped out along the way. And I think having players everyone playing at the top
Mm.
level in Super or in Europe is definitely helped that.
Yeah, you can see it, eh? Like now at set piece time was always a big question mark for you. Can you win your set piece to give,
Yeah,
the backs and the dangerous runners the ball that they can just do what they want with? But now you can compete at set piece, and now they are getting that ball, and it's good to watch.
yeah.
Even your kicking game, I've noticed like big changes in your kicking game, like both from 9 and 10. Um, has that been something you guys have really focused on?
Yeah, I think it's the things changing it. Like you'll probably see that at the start of the World Cup. France and New Zealand kicking a lot more and things like that.
Mm.
Now I go. I think Jacko and Dale Gibson. We want to kick. We're on the pressure sometimes. We want to release that pressure, but let's kick. When we want. Let's just not kick for the sake of kicking.
Yeah,
Now I think, as you probably know, our first mentality is if it's on, we'll go. Well, we won't. The backs will have a go, and if we can create a one-on-one or get to an edge, we'll definitely try. But if not, I think you have to in the modern game. You have to have the capability to box kick, kick, find some grass, or kick high to compete. But
yeah,
it's all changed. Yeah, I think if you want to win the big games, you have to have a kicking game, don't you?
yeah, massively. And obviously, you would know more than most playing over there in Northampton. Although you guys do play a slightly more expansive style of footy than some of them over there.
Yeah, yeah. I think our attack coach he's unreal. Sam Vesti. I don't know if you
Yeah.
came across him, but he's outstanding. He's pretty similar as well. Let's have a go.
Mm. No, it is cool to see. Okay, next one. What's your favourite F45, Jim?
Oh, very, very good. That's a big T set that, didn't he? I don't know. There's not many F45s where I am in Northampton, but nah. If he should do himself a favour and get him one, probably.
What's the joke there?
Nah, I can't. I can't.
Okay, next one. Is it true he's the only Cornish Fijian?
Um, I'd say there's myself, Josh, and Joel. So I'm one of three. Yeah.
Now the whole city's behind you, or the the whole town's behind you now, aren't they? They're all Fijian.
They are. They literally are.
Okay, next one is his old teammate Dan Bigger as competitive as he seems on TV.
Yeah. He's. I think like you'd have experienced it with tens and stuff at teams. He demands the best, and I think he's someone that he doesn't care if you're the best player in the team or the youngest player in the team. He will give as much shit to the player that ultimately is not mucking up, but probably shouldn't be where he is, or if he's had too much. Um, and I think he's outstanding for a team. But I think what
Yeah,
people don't see is off the pitch, he's probably one of the best people you'll meet. Yeah, he's got a terrible fashion sense, but he's a great bloke, a real terror. He's still wearing jeans and like his jeans and free trainers now. Yeah, how much cash he's got is scary, but he's a top bloke, like, one of the best.
yeah. Did you ever cop a spray from him?
Uh, I've had a few looks, when like I remember we're doing a walkthrough. So with at Saints, we call it like we call it Tai Chi. So we're just walking through like an install,
Yeah,
and I'm like my mind's like right. I'm laughing with someone else, and like I think we're like he's like, we're gonna go through everything, and like okay, so like we've done an exit line out. We're gonna go to 22 to do another line out, and I didn't hear what was going on next. So like I box kicked it, pissing around, and he's been like, "What the fuck is that?" And I was like, "What are you fucking shouting for?" I don't know what's going on. But yeah, he's giving everyone a spray, 100%.
Does he even spray the coaches, or what's that sort of relationship like with the coaches, or is there a bit of a barrier there?
No, I wouldn't say he'd spray, but he would definitely challenge.
Yeah,
Yeah, and like I think if you've got 100 caps for your country and you've got the experience he's got, he doesn't do it to belittle. He's not trying to belittle people or that, but
yeah,
he's definitely he'll definitely have a if he thinks something different, he'll say it, which I think's unreal. And I think a lot of the players that I think are playing with him now in France and Toulon that people that have played with him at Saints, he's a great player. Sorry, he's a great person, but he gets like that, but I think it's
yeah,
good. I think teams need it.
yeah. I agree, and that's cool to hear. Good to get a little bit of an insight there. Okay, two more. Harder. Oh, best player that you've played with.
Oh, you can't look too much further than Dupont, can you? Dupont's pretty good.
Oh, of course. Yeah, Toulouse, Dupont. Mate, he's incredible, eh?
Oh, freak. Like just yeah. I haven't watched it all, but I watched a clip with Jim Hamilton and Ronan O'Gara to talk
Yeah,
about him, and it's just like yeah, he's special. He's very special, and I think he was so good back. This was 2018. I played with him, and you could tell
yeah.
that he was next level.
What's he like? What's he like as a bloke? Does he speak much English, or did
Yeah,
you manage to connect with
to,
him
to,
very well?
to be fair, like he always spoke in the morning. He's always happy to greet you. And he I've found then, and what I've heard recently, that he's still as quiet and as humble as ever.
Yeah, I can imagine. Eh? He always looks so calm and like nothing
Yeah,
ever seems to phase
just
him at
chill.
all.
Yeah,
Yeah, very rarely shows much emotion.
100%. Yeah, he'll win the Six Nations on Saturday, and he'll be I don't know having a McDonald's on a Sunday or something. Just something just chill. Very very
Yeah,
chill bloke.
complete opposite to bigger, like total contrasts.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, last question. Best piece of advice you have for a Waterlad listener? I ask everyone this question, and looking forward to yours, mate. I've enjoyed this today.
Um, I think enjoy it. Yeah, you have to enjoy it. I think people say that you've obviously you've got to be serious at times. You've got to work hard because in most things in life, but you got to take a minute just to sit back and be like, this ain't a bad life, is it? It doesn't last forever.
Yeah, yeah,
It will soon change, and you'll be watching the next World Cup with the next players and people that are doing well. I think just to enjoy it, enjoy the moment, stay in it, and yeah, just be pretty humble and be nice. You know what I mean? I think you got to
yeah.
treat people how you want to be treated. Yeah.
Mate, and you obviously do that because you are an absolute true lad. And mate, appreciate you coming on the podcast, sharing your story. What a story it's been. Like that's an incredible journey, very unique to most rugby players these days who are straight into like professional footy from 19 and talk about
Yeah.
the injuries and stuff. But your journey is very unique, and it's awesome to see you
That's it. Different. Yeah.
on the biggest stage in world rugby at the moment, doing great things. So appreciate you coming on, mate.
Top man. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. It's been awesome.
And if you do need that distribution, mate, send it to What a Lad, and we will distribute from my garage, mate.
Oh,
We're taking over worldwide.
we'll fire it on. Yeah, top man. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it, mate.